When we picture the Amazon, we usually think of this huge, endless green jungle, but it's so much more than that. It's this living, breathing, humming world, and it's absolutely packed with creatures who are, well, true masters of survival. So today, let's take a journey into this incredible place and meet some of its most amazing inhabitants. Okay, first, let's just try to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this place. That number you're seeing, 5.5 million. That's how many square kilometers the Amazon rainforest covers. To give you some perspective, that's big enough to fit about half of the entire United States inside of it. It is a massive, massive stage stretching across 9 different countries where the incredible drama of life plays out 24/7. And believe me, it is a crowded stage. The Amazon is just bursting with an unbelievable variety of life. I mean, look at these numbers. We're talking over 40,000 different kinds of plants, more than 2,200 species of fish. You've got 1,300 types of birds filling the canopy and 430 different mammals roaming around. It is, hands down, the most biodiverse place on the entire planet. And every single one of these creatures has its own unique story of survival. So, how do you survive in a place that's so jam-packed and competitive? Well, you need an edge. You need something special. You could almost think of it like every single creature here has developed its own unique superpower that gives it a fighting chance. Take this sloth, for instance. Its legendary slowness? That's not laziness. No way. It's actually a masterclass in survival. It's like a living, breathing device that's permanently in low-power mode. By moving so incredibly slowly, it keeps its energy needs to an absolute minimum. This means it can get by on a diet of tough, low-calorie leaves, perfecting this ultra-efficient design for living. And then there's the spider monkey, an animal that has basically just grown a 5th limb. Its tail is prehensile, which is really just a fancy way of saying it can grip onto things just like a hand can. This tail is so strong it can actually hold the monkey's entire body weight, which makes it a complete acrobat, a true master of life way up in the high canopy. Now check out the toucan. What a piece of evolutionary engineering. That huge, colorful beak is definitely not just for show. It's a high-tech multi-tool. For starters, it's kind of like a pair of long-reach pliers, letting the toucan snatch fruit from branches that are way too flimsy to support its weight. But get this, it's also its own built-in air conditioner. The beak is filled with blood vessels, and its huge surface area works like a radiator, letting it release excess body heat into the humid air. Pretty cool, right? Some superpowers, though, are just, well, they're shocking. Literally. The electric eel, which, fun fact, isn't really an eel at all, but a type of knife fish, can unleash a jolt of up to 800 volts. That is more than 6 times the voltage of a standard wall socket here in the US. It's more than enough power to stun its prey in an instant or to tell a would-be predator to, back off. But superpowers aren't always about a physical advantage. Sometimes the absolute best survival tool you can have is a strong social network. In the Amazon, teamwork can be every bit as important as having sharp claws or powerful teeth. So, speaking of social animals, I've got a question for you. When you think of the world's biggest rodent, what's the first thing that pops into your head? If you said the capybara, you nailed it. This guy stands 2 feet tall, and would you believe its closest living relative is the humble guinea pig? I know, right? And capybaras are the very definition of a social creature. Their scientific name literally translates to water hog because their whole life happens in and around the water. They eat in the water, they mate in the water, and they can even hold their breath for up to 5 minutes to get away from predators. But their real superpower is their community. They live in these huge groups where all the females are like communal moms, helping to care for and even nurse each other's babies. It really does take a village. Okay, so let's compare the capybara with another social superstar, the giant river otter. You can see they have totally different ways of doing family life. Otters live in these smaller, really tight-knit family groups that are led by one dominant breeding pair. Capybaras, on the other hand, form these much larger herds with a more all-hands-on-deck approach to raising the kids. 2 totally different social strategies, but both are perfectly adapted for surviving in the Amazon. So in these close otter families, you might be wondering, how do they tell each other apart? Well, as this quote points out, they've got a built-in name tag. Every single giant otter is born with a totally unique pattern of cream-colored fur on its throat. It's basically their own version of a human fingerprint, making every otter recognizable from the moment it's born. Of course, life in the Amazon isn't all about cooperation and teamwork. It's also defined by that constant, complex dance between predator and prey. So, the giant otter is an apex predator, which means it sits right at the top of the river's food chain. They are expert hunters, and as you can see, their diet is almost entirely fish. By keeping those fish populations in check, they actually play this super important role in keeping the entire river ecosystem healthy. And if we go from the water to the sky, we meet another apex predator, the absolutely magnificent harpy eagle. Its hunting strategy is just breathtaking. It'll just perch way up high in the canopy, using its incredible eyesight to spot a monkey or a sloth. And then it dives, hitting speeds of up to 50 miles per hour. A true ruler of the rainforest skies. So, what about these highly social animals? I mean, what preys on them? Well, for the giant otters, there is definitely strength in numbers. A full family group is so tough that they really don't have any natural predators. But a lone otter? That's a different story. It can be vulnerable to jaguars or caimans. The capybara, though, is on the menu for quite a few predators. The babies are hunted by anacondas and eagles, while the adults have to constantly be on the lookout for the Amazon's ultimate predator, the jaguar. For thousands, even millions of years, this incredibly complex web of life has managed to keep itself in balance. But today, the single greatest threat to all of these amazing survivors comes from outside the natural world. The recent story of the giant otter is a really powerful warning for us. Back in the 1960s, the demand for their beautiful fur fueled this relentless hunt that pushed them right to the very edge of extinction. The population was just devastated. A critical international ban in 1973 saved them from the fur trade. But now, today, they're facing a new and maybe even bigger threat. This is the new front line for survival, and it impacts every single creature we've talked about today. Logging is clearing away the riverbanks where otters build their homes. Gold mining is poisoning the water with toxic mercury. And the nonstop expansion of farmland is simply erasing the rainforest, acre by acre, destroying the very fabric of this entire world. The biologist Nicole Duplex just captures the urgency of this situation perfectly. There are still some protected areas, some strongholds for species like the giant otter, but even these places are feeling the pressure. And her question, but for how long? That's a question that echoes across the entire Amazon. And that really brings us to the most important question of all. The animals of the Amazon, they are the definition of survivors. They've been shaped by millions of years of evolution to overcome every single challenge their world could throw at them. But now, they're facing a challenge they never evolved to deal with: us. The Amazon is a world of survivors. The only question left is, can they survive us?